The breeze is blowing straight into them as they head down the main straight, down to turn 1. There'll be some things you'll notice about this circuit. Well, look at that. The cloud cover's already come across, but the bumps are one of the defining features of the Queensland Raceway. The paperclip, 6 turns, 3.12 Ks.
And I mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast that the average speed around here is quite quick. It's about 160 odd kilometres an hour, plus or minus a K, depending on the day. And James Courtney has the lap record. He did that here in May last year. You've got to remember also that there's a little variance in the weather conditions between a May race and an August race here as well. And we've had the ongoing discussion about the impact of the floods on the track surface here in the January period. So there's a bit going on in terms of what's affecting the car's performance here this weekend. It does appear at this point as though the locally based teams have got something of an edge. So Team Vodafone and Stone Brothers Racing and their cars have certainly been able to tune well to these conditions. Rick Kelly is the first of the Victorians in the queue, as evidenced by the Fuso grid.
Craig Lowndes has won 77 races in his career. Tim Slade's just 25 years of age. He's never started on the front row, never found the checkered flag yet. Rick Kelly and Jamie Whincup, positions 3 and 4, 2 former V8 Supercar champions. Carl Reindler, his year started awfully over in Western Australia. He is bouncing back big time. His best ever qualifier. He's in the top 5. There's Jason Bright and Steve Owen for VIP Pet Foods make a top 10 appearance. Paul Dumbrell has made it official. This will be his last full-time year in V8 Supercar racing. And look out for David Reynolds. He is knocking on the door of his first race win. Jonathan Webb and Mark Winterbottom, that's Frosty's first time outside the top 10 in 8 races. Stephen Johnson, the only driver in the field to complete every single lap of 2011. Will Davison's alongside him in a new car. The Enforcer was the first-time winner here back in 1999. He's got Shane Van Gisbergen alongside of him. Greg Murphy and Alex Davison will be behind them. There's Michael Caruso, position 19. Garth Tander back in 20th position. The Toll Holden Racing team are hoping to secure this weekend their 200th ever race win, but they're going to have to do it the hard way because James Courtney is a slot behind Garth, so it hasn't started well. Fabian Coulthard and Todd Kelly make up positions 23 and 24. A new livery this weekend for Dean Fiore. He'll have VIP Pet Foods on that car, so look out for him. Jason Bargwanna in P26, Tony D'Alberto and Warren Luff making his 99th career race start will bring up the field.
And a little bit of late breaking news there as well, because Tony D'Alberto has actually been moved to the rear of the field as well. So in the period between qualifying and now this race this afternoon, he's been in front of the stewards and the investigating officer, and because Tony impeded Alex Davison and admitted that in the hearing, the penalty is that he's gone to the back of the grid. We don't often, I mean, we see it happen a lot and have been for many, many years, but it's not very often there's a penalty, so it must have been a shocker.
So the penalty applied there for holding up Alex Davison in the qualifying session, and as you can see there, if you're out and about today, your NextG mobile device from Telstra Big Pond will give you all the action. There's your championship points coming into race 16. Jamie Whincup, 1,683 points, 186 in front of Lowndes and Van Gisbergen and Kelly as your top 4.
Guys, a lot of excitement about Tim Slade, and if you've been following him, you'll notice his year is going from strength to strength. Talking to his team just a little bit earlier on, they're saying Tim gives such good feedback about the car that it makes it very easy for the engineers and the team to get the car right for him, and as a result of that, he goes out and produces a result. But it's amazing in sport, so often when everybody works together, when you all get on the same page, you get a great result, and that's what's happening with Tim Slade now.
It's a good point, Barrett's, because if you look at where his teammates are, Shane Van Gisbergen, and we just heard about Alex Davison being bought, but Shane Van Gisbergen is 16th and Tim Slade on the front row of the grid in 2nd. So we've been talking his stocks up. Let's hope in this race that it all works out for him. On board now with James Courtney,
who I spoke to and just lamenting no grip at either end of the car. And I mean, it's not an awful lot of time you've got to find, but it's enough to be concerned about. So it's more than half a second. Here's Mark Winterbottom. Matty said a moment ago, outside the top 10 for him so far today, but looking to build from there. Lee Holdsworth, he likes the idea of the variation in format, and he's within striking distance, 3rd row of the grid, position 6.
It's back to James Courtney. Remember what a difference, you know, a year makes, although we did race in May here last year. He won both races on the weekend here last year, and now he finds himself back in 21st position, well and truly out of the championship picture. So he's resigned to the fact that he's going to hand over his championship title at the end of the season. It makes for an interesting back half of the year for James Courtney fans, because they're going to put all their eggs into the Bathurst basket and go for wins. Points don't matter anymore.
So it'll be interesting for Jamie Whincup. He's been qualifying so well. He's further back today. He's in 4th position. You've got to get through this race without damage. A lot of pressure on no damage.
And there's no wriggle room in terms of strategy. The lights change, you go racing, and eventually there's a checkered flag.
Look at this. The man on the left has done 428 races. The man on the right has done 66. Lowndes, of course, has won 3 championship, 5 Bathurst, 6 races around here. Tim Slade never started on the front row, and he's going for his first ever V8 supercar win. 28 starters in the field all think otherwise. At the front, though, it's the veteran versus the young gun. It's a different ball game today in the V8s, and we're underway. Lee Holdsworth got a good start. Lowndes will take them down to turn 1. Slade's going to go with him, and Rick Kelly's there as well.
Lowndes got a great start, a really good jump, and a great secondary part of the start. Less wheel spin than Slade. Rick Kelly gave Slade room to get in, so Rick Kelly conservative, and he's run wide. That's Holdsworth. Whincup got a terrible start.
Those bumps at turn 2. They try and spear you to the left, while the car, you want to go right down to turn 3. The big long back straight. 255 k's down there. Around 3 they go. Up towards 4, and the first left-hander.
Rick had a bad run through turn 2, and he's been held wide down at turn 3. Now Reindler has the opportunity to argue, but he finds himself on the wrong side here for 4. Whincup tries to take advantage of that.
He'll be battling to get in, Neil, won't he? Whincup gave him room, so that was okay. So Holdsworth, a fantastic first lap from 6th to 3rd, and this is on now because Whincup is down the inside of Reindler and a big move at turn 6.
Good job. He stopped the car without locking a brake, no contact, so grabs a spot back, Jamie Whincup. Holdsworth's the man who's done the big gain in the opening lap.
Alex Davison and Shane Van Gisbergen go searching on the inside of the track to turn 1. There's no bumps in there, but Davison's getting himself tied up with Garth Tander. So out in front it's Lowndes, then there's Slade, Lee Holdsworth 3rd, Rick Kelly, Jamie Whincup is going to have another look down at turn 3.
Oh, how's that down there? They're playing for keeps. The boys is 4 abreast. Under brakes for turn 3. There will be contact here.
David Reynolds and Greg Murphy out of the Kelly Brothers Racing. They get a bit of push and shove. So wide on the exit of 3. Dust going everywhere.
There was some ugly stuff going on between turns 1 and 2 down there a moment ago. That was pretty willing.
I'm amazed that no one is parked off the road after that, because it was very serious. This is Slade making ground on Lowndes. One of the things to consider here, guys, is if you press on as hard as you possibly can on these soft tyres, they will degrade heavily later in the race. This is a great start from Lowndes. Have a look at the secondary part of the start. Really good traction, gets it done. And then Rick Kelly, a little pause on the throttle to allow Slade in. Look at Bright, 3 abreast down the inside of Reynolds.
And so Holdsworth did a nice job too. He just immediately jumped into the gap. Here he is, we're on board with him. Watch this. Jamie was a bit tardy. Bam, straight down the inside, closes off the margin on the right. And got himself well organised when he made the run down to turn 3 as well.
Yeah, it's a great start. He did. He closed the door on Carl Reindler there and reacted beautifully to Whincup getting dug in a bit of a hole. But now Jamie is trying to make amends. So Craig Lowndes, 0.8 of a second Whincup on the inside at turn 4 gets that done on Rick Kelly. Rick tries to sneak in at 5. It's going to be tight. They will push and shove up on 2 wheels, and Whincup holds firm.
Gee, I tell you what, Matt, that was almost both cars gone. It was Jamie being a little bit cheeky because he'd actually done the crisscross. Rick was back up the inside. He moved him up over the curb, and Rick decided to give the throttle a breath to make sure that they didn't make contact.
It was a short step to both of them rotating.
Absolutely. What I was saying before is you've got to make a choice of how hard you drive the car in the early laps. Let's have another look at this. big dive from Whincup, very committed, good pass, but a good move by Rick Kelly to do the crisscross. Back on the inside, it's his corner, and Whincup forces him over the curb, and they get away with it. That was so close. Look at this. The force required, bang, up over the curb, and that may have done some steering damage to the front of Rick Kelly's car, but they got away with it. Look, can I try to finish this tyre point?
You better be quick.
The choice is that you've got to choose how fast you drive the car at the start. If you drive it slightly more conservative at the start, the tyres will hang in for longer. So the local teams have got better science and better experience with this.
And in the 8 all soft or all sprint tyre races that we've had so far this season, Whincup has been the master. He scored 130 more points than his nearest competitor, Shane van Gisbergen. So Whincup's the man to watch when it comes to the soft tyres. His teammate is the man to beat, currently 7/10 of a second clear of Tim Slade, who's going with Craig Lowndes. So they complete another lap. Holdsworth, 3rd. There's Whincup, that's 4th. 5th is Rick Kelly. They're starting to string out just a little bit. The first 2 have gone, the second 2 are going together, and then Rick Kelly and Carl Reindler behind them.
Yeah, and both Carl Reindler and Steve Owen, who are 6th and 7th and quite close on the racetrack, are having a pretty intense battle there at the moment as well.
So the winners and losers on the opening frenetic laps here that's been on for young and old. Holdsworth, 3 spots he's gained. Will Davison's gained 4 spots. Greg Murphy, 5. The biggest loser, Jason Bright, who's lost a couple.
Lee Holdsworth will be the centre of attention for a number of reasons in the back half of the year. Not only have you got to count them in for the Enduros, of course Lee finished on the podium at Bathurst last year with Michael Caruso, but he's going to be a free agent unless he can tie up a deal very soon. He will. The question is, where will he go? The silly season's about to start, folks.
Now, Whincup's clearly got a car that's pretty good here at the moment. He looks strong. He's looking for a way in and around Lee Holdsworth at the moment, so it's taking a little bit of time to recover from that tardy start. Remember, Lee was the one that ducked out from behind Jamie, and now Whincup looking to reverse that. So we'll just focus on those guys in this run to turn 2. Very different line approach in there to 2. Whincup in much tighter. Throttle in very early for Whincup, rattles it out over the wide side of the Vallelunga curbing, and it shakes the car. When you're in the car, the vibration through it is extraordinary. See the behaviour of the front of the car, under brakes into 3. Trying to get on the gas, had to have a reset of the throttle then because the front wouldn't accept it initially. And what Whincup's doing at the moment is just looking for every last little bit of information he can get visually from Holdsworth's car. What's he doing? How's it behaving? Where is the opportunity going to arise? Is it going to arise? And at the same time trying to keep his car straight, keep half a weather eye on whatever else is going on behind. Second gear for the final corner, turn 6. Generally taking much tighter approach to a couple of the corners around here.
When you get a chance, brakes to high flow when you get a chance.
Looking to pump more water at the brakes to try and keep those temps down. Look at this, 3 wide. James Moffat, Alex Davison.
Oh,
Jonathan Webb on the outside. Russell Ingall, well, he grabs an opportunity there when all that's going on. Takes 2 places out of it. Thank you.
He said, thank you very much.
He doesn't miss opportunities, does he? So this battle's quite intriguing, but I think also Tim Slade, I know Tim Slade is now climbing up on the rear of Craig Lowndes. There's nothing in it. A 1/10 of a second is now the difference between first and second. So Slade has been very patient here. He knew that Lowndes got a good start. He knows the success that Lowndes has had around this circuit, 6 race wins. So he's going to use the experience that Lowndes is offering him, and Whincup gets another position. He moves up to 3rd. So it's clever work by Tim Slade. He's just tagging along the back of Lowndes there and waiting and waiting and waiting. Not chewing up the tyres, like you say. 7 laps into 22. Plenty of opportunity. It's
interesting, though, because one of the things, and it's relatively early in the race, one of the things that's apparent here is that they've got clearly very good balance in the Stone Brothers car because it's hanging in there. If anything, he might even be a fraction stronger at this point in the race.
Yeah, Neil, I reckon he'll be having a crack. I had a bit of a chat to Ross Stone, the team manager of that organisation, or team owner. And Ross, I've been fortunate enough to work beneath him. He's a great mentor. He's very good for keeping you calm you know, making you do sensible stuff in the race. But I said to him, you know, what did you say to Tim? Expecting he would say something very Ross-like, and he said, I told him, pin your ears back and drive the thing as fast as you can.
Very technical. Now here we go. Lee Holdsworth's not done with this yet. He wants to argue the point. Rick Kelly's got the watching brief here. That's a great shot on the wide part of the curb on the exit of turn 3, isn't it, from the front of Lee's car. It's all over the rear bumper of the Vodafone car at 4. And this is where there was a bit of aggravation a few moments ago between Jamie and Rick Kelly.
And Lee was using third gear then at turn 4. The other guys that we've seen so far have been using second. And there's little nuances between the cars in terms of where you see the body language and where they're strong in certain areas. And we've seen the 888 Vodafone cars, how strong they are on the way into the corner. And have a look at the bumps here. This is into turn 1. Watch Rick Kelly's car.
And Mark Dutton's encouraging Jamie to stiffen up the front anti-roll bar on that car, just obviously trying to tidy up its rear behaviour, trying to stop it from sliding a little bit.
Last lap around, Craig Lowndes got a little bit of distance back against Tim Slade out in front of these guys. In fact, he's pushed the margin out towards a second.
He made a little mistake. That's what happened in the previous lap. He almost went off at turn 3 because there's oil out of turn 2.
Oh, look at this.
And this is pretty healthy little debate here going on between Rick Kelly and Lee Holdsworth. Rick's traditionally been very good on the soft tyre, and so has Lee Holdsworth. So a couple of young guys pressing on hard.
And Raiders from the south. So these guys are flying the state flag here, trying to lay a glove on the Queenslanders at the moment, who've bolted in the first 3 spots.
We've said it before, but traditionally the Queenslanders haven't actually done that well at this circuit. The home track advantage hasn't been a massive advantage based on the performance over the years, but with the soft tyre, Jason Bright off the road. Oh, he locked a wheel, you can hear the noise. That's in turn 6 as the final corner. And back out onto the circuit, way down, just in front of Warren Luff. That'll be in 27th position. So what actually happens a little bit with the soft tyre and teams that test here, you can actually assimilate the race runs. As Rick Kelly has a really good look down the inside, can't quite get it done, moves back in behind Lee to get a more classic line.
The hard part about making that pass stick into turn 3 is that when you move to the extreme inside, it's also dirtier there, and it's actually quite a bit bigger in terms of the bump. So not only you've got less grip, but the car flies around more beneath you. So if you're going to plot that move, it's got to be a very positive, calculated move, or it can end in a lock break and contact with the other car.
And come from closer, because he was probably a car length and a half behind, wasn't he? He's got to be right under the back bumper bar. This is James Moffat right behind Dave Reynolds. Dave Reynolds is right behind Garth Tander. This is the battle for 14th, 15th position.
Garth's been able to make it a little bit of ground, but his teammate James Courtney hasn't. So Garth at the moment is 14th, James is 24th.
Halfway mark. Lowndes continues to lead. He's done so from the start. There's Will Davison.
Dare I say it, because when you say these things in invariably the world changes, but
don't.
There hasn't been much damage yet. I'm whispering. It's a soft sell. There hasn't been much damage, which impacts the story that Mark Larkin was telling us pre-race about the service window. And so far, it's clear the radiator, polish it and send it, apart from a bit of performance tuning.
One of these days he'll listen to us, Scapey.
No.
Stevie Johnson's just got around Will. It's a brand new car for Will Davison. Stephen Johnson done a gazillion miles around this circuit. And he's had a good solid year. Hasn't been spectacular, but certainly a good solid year.
It's the new team manager for Jim Beam Racing, Malcolm Swettenham. He's been bouncing backwards and forwards between Australia and the UK. He's been deeply involved in European and British Touring Car Championship racing, and he's heading up technical operations there at Dick Johnson Racing, and that's a positional swap.
Yeah, Murph will go up to 8th after getting past Paul Dumbrell.
It's a good run from Greg Murphy, really impressive. He was 6 spots up at 11th, so he's actually got 9 positions so far. That's Van Gisbergen now right behind, so a bit of local knowledge again. Hasn't proved for Van Gisbergen to be as strong as Slade at this point, but he does race well. And on this tyre, we've seen him put together some really good performances so far this year.
Shots that we have on the outside of turn 2 are very telling, because not only do you see the cars sliding and everybody climbing over the curbing there, but you get a real indication of just how bumpy it is. So the cars aren't just sliding a lovely billiard table smooth racetrack, they're pitching and wobbling, and I mean, it's just so much going on. We'll have a look at it again when they come back around next time, but gee, the boys are busy there.
This is from the front of Mark Winterbottom's car, who's tucked right in under the rear bumper of Shane Van Gisbergen.
And they're working hard, these guys, because they're back in the back end of the top 10. They're all in very close proximity. You've got to use more tyre, more brake, more throttle to deal with the traffic around you. It's harder to race in that position, 9, 10, 11, when you're all tightly bunched like this, than it is when you're cruising around in one of the better positions further up with a bit of air around you.
He'd love to get a win on the board this season, Mark Winterbottom. He's been so good in qualifying, 4 straight pole positions, yet to have a victory.
This is the corner I made the point about before. Do you see how many times that Shane Van Gisbergen had to grab the brake, steady the car, it slid, he grabbed it again, it slid. So, I mean, he's just constantly threading the needle through turn 2 there. I mean, the car, if you're in it, you know, his elbows are flying. He's very, very busy in the cockpit trying to keep the thing pointed exactly as he needs it.
And Neil, the other thing from inside the car, remember Dunlop specifically designed this tyre to degrade. So we're in the first half of the race, which is sort of the performance phase. And if you are in the middle of that pack, you've got to make a fairly quick analysis, no or yes, I do have performance. If you don't, the smart play is to conserve the car and try and get performance from tyre life at the end of the race rather than car performance.
But that's right, there's a lot of strategy, although it doesn't look like it in a 22-lap race. Oh, big brake lock up, run wide, and that'll be Mark Winterbottom up the inside for turn 1. He didn't quite get it done. He actually, what he didn't want to do was make contact because Van Gisbergen couldn't have seen him.
That'll give Mark Winterbottom big incentive into turn 3 next time, because it's now giving him the chance to position the car right under the rear wing. So if he gets a good clean exit here at 2, he'll be a much bigger threat down in the braking area in the next run. See how it works out. Shane's sliding a lot through too. He got away with it then because Mark's car also jumped sideways late in the turn. In fact, he's got margin.
Positions 10 and 11 you're looking at, and arriving on the scene in a hurry is Stephen Johnson, who will squeeze out Mark Winterbottom.
A little bit of dodgem action there, because he actually locked the brake very late, but because he had a tonne and a half down the inside, he won.
Well, he just parked him, because when he got it there, he basically just pushed him wide and parked him, so that was the end.
Don't forget, tomorrow, if you're going to join us on the V8 Supercars, head to 7 Mate from 2 p.m. We've got a great list, including the Australian Superbikes. And you reckon the V8s are spectacular around these bumps? Wait till you see those guys go. Just missiles trying to hold on. That's tomorrow, V8s on 7 Mate from 2 p.m. But we've got a lot ahead of us today. On lap 15 out of 22, remember the 15-minute half-time service period comes into play after this, and then another 22 laps. So Johnson in position 11. There's our race leader, who's now pushed out the gap to Tim Slade to 1.1 seconds. Slade's been holding on since the word go. But Lowndes has just had the head down, and he continues to charge towards another race win here. What would be his first for the season. He's watched his teammate rack him up. 6 wins for Whincup, none for Lowndes so far.
Craig, fastest lap of the race with an 11.05. On the last lap, he did an 11.7. So if you can do pretty much this whole race staying in the 11s, is the reason that he is at the front. Tim Slade not very far away. If you think about it, across a 22-lap race, at the moment he's only a second away over the 15 laps so far. So he's not very far away, and his fastest time is an 11.12. And this is on. Rick Kelly down the inside, over the bumps, into turn 1, and he gets it done. Good move, good professional run from both these guys. They've hunted themselves along the whole time, and the other guy that's doing a good job is just back in shot is Steve Owen. He's in 6th position. He's made a couple of spots. He qualified 8th.
He's actually getting a little closer to these guys by virtue of the battle that they've been happening the last couple of laps, and he's dropped off Carl Reindler, as you can see in the Fair Dinkum Sheds entry. So here's Steve, and much closer. And the light's a bit low out there now. You're just starting to see the beginning of glowing front brake rotors down there into turn 3. Enormous brake pressures, enormous temperatures down there. Alex Davison down the inside of David Reynolds. And that is for 15th.
Davey Reynolds did a great job in the practice sessions yesterday. Also lit up the press conference too. He's becoming a real character to watch in the V8 Supercars. Garth Tander, this is what happens when you qualify down the list. You get caught in this kind of action. So Tander, Moffat, Will Davison, Reynolds, Alex Davison all caught in there. Alex gives a big left-hander whack into Reynolds.
There's a bit of hip and shoulder and all that, and it's been going on.
And that's down around
in that mid-pack.
14,
yeah,
15,
that's right.
Yeah.
And they play for keeps there, Matt. They're serious about it. That was a good move from James Moffat. He's around the inside of Tander. You can see the damage on the front of Garth's car there. He's been doing some Morse coding. Big slide through turn 1 for Tander. And this is Davison. And Davison, Alex at front, Will right behind. And then, I was trying to pick up the next car. Was it Mark Winterbottom? No, it's not. It's, sorry, Dave Reynolds.
So Garth started 20th up to 14th. It appears as though the Holden Racing team are going to have to wait to collect the official factory team's 200th victory. Craig Lowndes continues to lead.
Look at the damage on the front of Russell Engle's car.
Yeah, it's been there for a little while. I saw it earlier, but I think it was from the first couple of laps, but it's enough to certainly disturb the airflow around the front of the car. Meantime, back to Paul Dumbrell, 9th at the moment. Between Greg Murphy and Stephen Johnson, and he's coming under some attack here at the moment from Steve.
He's been strong, hasn't he? Very strong. He's coming forward, and he looks like, in terms of the way he's looking after the tyres, that he's got good performance and balance from that car. And here's Murphy down the inside of Reindler. Very good move. That's for 7th position. So Greg Murphy, another one who's made
10.
Yeah, 10 spots. The guy that's not doing the job that we thought he may is Dave Reynolds, because he was 10th in qualifying. He's been really competitive all weekend, but he has got to race better. He's 18th at the moment.
There's been a couple of shots of that car, Mark, where it looks like it's really sliding a lot. So maybe it's great, nice pointy car for qualifying, steering well, but it's maybe a little loose for the race. I mean, it's always hard to eyeball engineer from afar, but there's just been a couple of shots where it looks very wild in the back. That might be the issue.
Here's Johnson. He'll have a move on Dumbrell, because he's been coming at him, and this will be the spot. He won't get it done here at 5, but he'll stay in close contact if he can get through here close enough. And this is the spot down the inside into turn 6. You got to feint. He'll feint to the left, which is down there, and he doesn't need to feint that much, because he gives him a bump in the door and pushes him wide.
It's relatively easy though, wasn't it? He certainly had a bit of extra performance there under brakes on the way in. Here we go. That's positional improvement there for Steve Owen. He's now up to 5th place. So remember I said a few laps ago that he'd actually broken free of Carl Reindler and was buying into this battle that was in front. So he sets off after Rick Kelly now. Have a go at the wheel work for Lee. That's a busy boy.
You have to hold on to it around 2.
Well, that's that area at turn 2 I was talking about again before. I mean, even on a good day when your car's well balanced there, you're a busy boy.
And there's some local knowledge in this, because Steve drives for Paul Morris Motorsport, and as a local test track, he's obviously done some race runs here. So Lowndes, Slade, Whincup, Steve Owen, 4 of those top 5 cars are all local cars.
Yeah, Rick Kelly slotted in 4th as the one from South. Lee Holdsworthy is 6th. Murphy's behind him in 7th. Reindler, Stephen Johnson and Paul Dumbrell make up our top 10.
And Lee said to me before the start of the race, I'm a bit worried about this car as a race car, meaning that he's not sure that it was going to maintain its consistent balance on the tyres. And his teammate Michael Caruso said exactly the opposite. They were standing together. He goes, yeah, mine, I can't get a lap out of it in qualifying, but it's going to race at that speed all day long. So he said we might end up meeting in the middle. Oops.
Oh, Jonathan Webb, who was in a good position actually, he was going quite well. He's just been rotated. There might be some other action in the back of that one we haven't caught so far.
There's a bit of rear bumper damage on it, but that could have come at any stage, so he may have been helped, is what Scapey is saying. No, did it on his own by the look of it. That's very dirty offline there. You don't need to wander too far. You can see all that dust coming up. Here's James Moffat again with Alex Davison, Garth Tander. This little battle involving 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. It's all happening.
Look at this.
It's brewing, isn't it?
Well, he's got the spot on Winterbottom, so Moffat moves up to 12th. Shane Van Gisbergen there in 10th spot. Yeah, that's got all the makings, hasn't it? I just watched this one unfold for 30 or 40 seconds.
Winterbottom pulled him behind Moffat because if he went down the outside of him, Garth was going to spear down the inside. So he's been conservative. If Garth does spear down the inside, but in the next corner, Moffat gets Dumbrell. So Van Gisbergen gets clear. Tander gets by Winterbottom. So a fair bit of movement in the background of that, and a good pass here, Murphy, down the inside of Holdsworth. So he's made great progress. Very, very good drive, Greg Murphy.
So that's to 6th now for Greg. Amazing charge up through the field when you consider where he qualified in 17th. Don't often see that. Looking after the tyres, got great pace, marching up to the front.
He'd be hoping this race was going a little bit longer because it's all coming beautifully together for the Kiwi. He's edging closer and closer towards the podium, but they're running out of lap time on the inside down here. Again, Paul Dumbrell has seen this movie too many times this weekend. And Garth Tander may end up facing the wrong way, but they hold on. So Dumbrell held on to his position. Tander managed to hold straight in car 2, and Winterbottom and Davison go by.
Got a problem. I reckon the front left tyre is flat.
Exactly.
He's actually going to have to come in. He's on the radio now.
They will hook together, those two cars. They will hook together, those two cars, and the damage has punctured the left-hand front tyre. Here's Craig Lowndes.
Qualifying has always been the key here at Queensland Raceway, and as Garth Tander exits the scene with damage to the front left, Craig Lowndes will wrap around turn 3 with Tim Slade behind him. And in the 16th race of the championship, Lowndes is finally going to find himself the checkered flag. He's been doing it all season in terms of qualifying, 4 pole positions, but yet to get a race win. This time he's used all his experience. From the word go, he's held off the young gun behind him, but this is only half the job this afternoon. Lowndes brings it around turn 6.
And any time, Matt, that you can beat Jamie Whincup at this circuit by 7 seconds, you've done a very, very good job.
Well, Craig Lowndes, last won a V8 Supercar Championship 12 years ago. He's bought back into the picture here today. 75 points in the bag. His first race win for 2011. And Lowndes gets his 7th race victory at this circuit. Extraordinary, and a great job for Tim Slade, who gets his best ever race finish on the podium for the first time, and Whincup comes in 3rd. Battle here at the finish line. Whoa, Stevie Johnson, Lee Holdsworth held him off. Same too for Dumbrell and Winterbottom. Winterbottom got him, so Frosty goes up to 13th. And that's the end of Garth's day.
Yeah, they left him out, but he was already limping at the last corner. He didn't get into pit in, so literally had to finish on that flat left front tyre as a result of the contact he was having with, I think it was Will Davison down in turn 3.
Dumbrell.
And Dumbrell, but there was Will in there as well.
This is a drama because you've got to get this fixed now.
That's right.
Yeah, so by
coming back fast hurts stuff.
Cross the finish line, then bring it back in. Go as slow as you like on the way back round.
So this is, you watch, they hook together. Right now, they're hooked.
Yeah.
So that's the puncture, and then a hit then from Winterbottom and Davison from behind. And we picked, or Neil picked it up straight away that car was punctured, so he pulls across to the right. And the problem is that this will make this a late entry into the pit. He'll be the last running car with all that damage. You have to fix all that to get out for the next race.
Let's take a look at the results as this 15-minute countdown gets closer and closer. Lowndes, Slade and Whincup. A great drive by Craig Lowndes from the get-go. Jamie Whincup on the podium yet again, and Tim Slade, best ever career performance. Greg Murphy and Steve Owen, standout efforts in those first 22 laps. Carl Reindler inside the top 10, and so too young James Moffat in his first main game race here gets inside the 10. Shane Van Gisbergen in 11th, and Alex Davis and Mark Winterbottom went all the way to the wire. James Courtney in 20th spot. Garth Tander, the last man in to pit lane. So now it all starts, this 15-minute service period will begin soon. Remember, the clock will start when the last car, being Tander, comes in to pit bay. Before that, the drivers are allowed out of the car straight away. Minimal personnel allowed to go there, just the car controller and assistant. So they're waiting for Tander to come in and go into the pit bay nose first. Then the clock starts. In the first 3 minutes, they have to do refueling.
Last car 2 entering pit lane now.
So it's a race director's voice, Tim Schenken, just advising. So Garth is in, and boys are allowed to check tyre pressures, for example, at the moment, sort out the cool suits and the drivers to come in. And that tyre flailing has done a lot of damage to that front left guard.
And the front brake rotor and everything else that might be under it. So now, from the time this happens, listen for the noise, because there'll be an announcement.
Last car into pit bay. Means the countdown clock is not too far away. This is the great unknown of this afternoon's race format. This 15-minute service period. Everybody's standing around waiting, waiting.
Adrian Burgess there.
Here we go. Tim Schenken, our race director, up there in race control. And keeping a close eye.
Frank to all teams. Cars are released from park firming conditions in pit lane, and you may commence your service.
Okay, so now the 15-minute clock. Look at them go. What they have to do here is get the go-jacks on.
Safety car, you're clear to move to the front of the grid. Safety car.
Swing these cars around and start the refueling process. Can only be done in the first 3 minutes.
So the category technical manager, Frank Adamson's the first voice that you heard. He's given the notice on the race management channel that all the crews can then grab their cars and swing them around. That's what they're now doing on what we describe as the go-jacks. Then they'll go into position. And the initial task is to refuel them, get them in readiness, and then once that's done, they'll set about doing any maintenance or performance work that Mark Larkham described. And really, I mean, you consider a sprint race, 22 laps, usually pretty willing around here. There'll be a couple of panels here and there that have had a push and a shove, but really the only obvious bigger damage is that of Garth Tander's.
Hey, Craig Lowndes, nothing better than winning at home.
It's not Barrett's, and I suppose we expect it in a sort of having a good performance here, being our home track. But you never know. The competition is so tough, and obviously seeing a lot of the Victorians come up here in the past and do so well. Take this little baby home. Hopefully, it's our turn.
Hey, and your championship too. You just keep fighting.
Oh, look, we're going to keep fighting all the way to the end. I think we're coming into the part of the year that I've always, I suppose, had good results at, long distance, and I'm looking forward to pairing up with Scafie again, and then, of course, that run home to Homebush. Like, it's all getting exciting.
Nice feeling, Lowndesy, to lead from start to finish.
Well, it is. It's nice to actually get a good start for a while. It's something that's been probably a little bit of a weak point for us, for both Jamie and I, but we've managed to sort of rectify that now. It still wasn't perfect. Nothing ever is. But look, we're obviously making some big inroads on that. And, of course, from start to finish, it makes it easier for me. It probably makes it look boring for you, but it makes it a lot easier for me.
We're glad you enjoyed it. Hey, just quickly, not long now, you're going to jump back in and do it all again. Are you good? Is the car good?
Oh, look, both are good. I think that I'm in good form. I think I'm fit, and thankfully we stayed out of trouble, and the car is in good tip-top condition, ready for leg 2. All
right, good luck out there, Lowndesy. Well done.
Thanks, Brett.
Congratulations to Craig Lowndes. We'll head across. Jamie Whincup finished in 3rd position. Jamie has just collecting his crystal trophy right now and getting a banana in, and this is what it's like for the drivers. Jamie, it's a fast turnaround. You haven't done anything like this before. Finish your banana, but this is a bit unusual.
Yeah, a little bit unusual. It's good though. I like mixing it up. That race there for me, Lowndesy, Slady, they were fast, real quick, and we didn't quite have their pace. So now we're going to change a full shock and spring and try to get that pace back. Hopefully we go the right way. It's pretty easy to go backwards as well.
Jamie, what's the challenge for you as a driver now? Obviously, you've got to refuel yourself, get the car back into shape. The car's okay?
Yeah, try to cool down. Like, it's 22 laps, but it's a sprint, so we've got to try to cool down, get a little bit of food in, keep the hydration up. I want to go quicker. I really want to go quicker in this next one and challenge the front two.
Look out, Lowndesy.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I want to at least give him a battle, that's for sure.
You are giving him a battle championship-wise. You're holding on there, but he's creeping up, the old fella.
Hey, he goes good. He just gets out there and goes hard every week in, week out. So great teammate to have. Unfortunately, we can't join up at the Enduros again, but that's life. But no, enjoying the battle as it lasts.
We're looking forward to this next race, Jamie. All the best.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brett. The horn's just sounded, so refueling's finished. Got Tim Slade, first podium ever, mate. A lot of happy people. I'm one of them. Love to see it. Kiss the pretty girl. Grab your trophy. Mate, well done. I was really interested off the start, Tim, that you had very, very strong performance, dropped back. Rosto said you were going to give it everything you had. Was there anything left?
I guess I probably did conserve a little bit at the start, you know, in hope that I had better tyre life than Craig. But, you know, we sort of got about halfway through the race and I thought, well, we're never going to run these tyres again, so we're going to give it a pretty good crack. And, I mean, the car probably wasn't, I mean, it was pretty damn good, but it wasn't quite good enough to stay with him at the end. You know, not much in it, as you saw, but pretty happy for all the lucky 7 guys back there. They're an awesome bunch of guys, and it's a great way to repay them for their hard work.
And just quickly, Tim, I mean, we've been a wrap for you during the course of the year because you've just keep popping your head up all the time. You've just put Jamie Whincup 5 seconds behind you, and he had a good car. Has it sort of sunk in that I think now that you've established yourself in the top echelon of the sport?
Yeah, I guess I've said to a few people recently that I've really started to enjoy my racing in the last few rounds. You know, Hidden Valley, Townsville, you know, and a couple before that. I guess because I probably do feel a little bit more established now, and I know if we go out and have a bad session, then I think I've done enough to prove that I belong here, and you know, you can just put your head down and move on with things. And fortunately, there hasn't been any of that this weekend, so hopefully we can just keep on pressing forwards.
Right, Tim, an old bloke's going to give you a tip. Flick the trophy, kiss the girl and drink the wine.
Yeah, well, it was a bonus. I didn't know I got a trophy. This guy's got on the radio into the race, and I thought, oh, righto, that was a bonus.
Good on you, mate. No, well done. Top job.
No worries, thanks.
Great job, Tim Slade. Very interesting for me, though, to look at the number of people who are grabbing new shock and spring combinations and changing them on their car. We've seen 88 Whincup, we've seen the GRM car, and also Mark Winterbottom. So a bit going on. There are a few people having a big tweak in terms of performance.
Yeah, Craig Lowndes, 176 points adrift now, so he's chopped 10 points out of the championship lead of his teammate. Lowndes becomes the 7th different winner of our season and his first race win since Tasmania last year. It'll be back on again in just a few minutes.